Hi Joe, I've just woken up, so sorry for my croaky throat and whatnot. Um, but I just had a dream about you last night, so I thought I'd make a video just to kind of tell you about it. Um, okay, so it started off, we were in this place, there was like bright blue skies and like really nice green grass, and there was a few like bushes around. And we were at this activities day thing. It was just me and you there, but there was this brown envelope on the floor in the middle of the activities day area. And so the activity that we had to do was inside that brown envelope. So we opened the brown envelope, and the first activity that we had to do was that in one of the bushes there was going to be a pen hanging from one of the branches. We had to find that pen and write the word flame across our chest, and then get back to the brown envelope. And whoever did that first would be the winner of the activity. And yeah, I think the reason it was the word flame is because I watched your video yesterday when you were using your iPhone application with the lighter flame thing, perhaps, I don't know. So yeah, we had to go and do that. So we both went our separate directions, and we were both looking through all the bushes to try and find this pen. And I managed to find the pen first, but as soon as I found the pen, I completely forgot the word which I was supposed to write across my chest, so I couldn't do it. So I planned on going back to the brown envelope to find the word, to go back to the pen, and then, yeah, whatever. But just as I was about to do that, you saw me with the pen. And so, like, you started to come over to me to try and get the pen, but I obviously didn't want you to get the pen, so I tried to stop you from getting to the pen. And I don't really remember how that activity ended, but I don't remember either of us winning. I think we both just lost by default, because neither of us managed to write the word flame across our chest. So yeah, that was that. Then what else happened? I can't remember. There was loads more to the dream. Oh yeah, I remember. And then you were coming to stay at my house, but it wasn't my house at all. It was just this random like building which I'd never been in before, but it was my house in the dream. And so you were sitting in my bedroom, and I was in the kitchen with my mum. And I said to my mum, "Oh, is it okay if Joe stays for a few days?" My mum says, "Oh yeah, that's fine. Is there anything Joe doesn't like or likes?" And I said, "Well, he doesn't like meat." And my mum was like, "What?" She was so surprised that there was another vegetarian in the world. She thought that I was the only vegetarian in the world. So yeah, she was shocked when I told her that you didn't eat meat. And then I started to make a drink of Iron Brew. I had a glass and a bottle of Iron Brew, and I was pouring the Iron Brew into the glass. And then I like to have ice cubes in my Iron Brew, so I went to get some ice cubes from the ice cube tray. But I accidentally spilt some Iron Brew into the ice cube tray. And then my mum was like, "Are you going to go and ask Joe if he wants a drink?" So I had this ice cube tray with some spilt Iron Brew in it and a few ice cubes that I was holding at that time. And then my mum said, "Go and ask Joe if he wants a drink." So I carried this ice cube tray through to the bedroom where you were sitting. And then I kind of like went across to you and said, "Would you like anything to drink, Joe?" And I think you thought that that meant that I was trying to give you this ice cube tray full of Iron Brew. So you took the ice cube tray of Iron Brew off me, and just tried to start to drink the Iron Brew out of the little individual ice cube compartments in the ice cube tray. And yeah, you were too polite to say you wanted a glass, and I was too polite because I didn't want you to feel stupid when you realised that you weren't meant to be drinking out of the ice cube tray. So we both just left each other to it, and you just tried to drink the Iron Brew out of this ice cube tray. But you were sitting on my bed, and it was like you managed to get a little bit in your mouth, but all the rest of the Iron Brew was just like dribbling down your face and onto the bed and stuff. So yeah, that wasn't so good. Yeah, so then the next thing I know, I don't remember what happened after that, but then the next thing I remember, I was on a train, just by myself, you weren't there. But I wanted to get off the train, and the only way to get off the train was to, because it wasn't going to stop at any stations, was to open a hatch in the train ceiling, and then using some helium balloons you could float out. So I did that. I floated out of the ceiling of the train and started to like float up into the sky. And the next thing I know, I'm back at this activities day thing again. And there's a bunch of people, and so like I'm floating up in the sky, and there's a bunch of other people floating up in the sky too, and they're all part of this activities day. And those people who were floating there, they were all like YouTubers, but I don't remember who was there. I remember Charlie and Alex were both there, and you were there. but I don't remember who else was there. But they were all YouTubers, and so yeah, we're floating. And yeah, the other weird thing is I was floating next to the Eiffel Tower. Don't know why the Eiffel Tower, but I was. And I was told that I was floating at about 35 stories above ground level, like in terms of buildings, 35 stories high. Oh, and the other weird thing was, I was like holding loads of balloons, and there was a couple of other people holding loads of helium balloons so that they could float. But then the rest of you guys were just floating. And apparently you guys who were floating without balloons, you couldn't like choose where to go. You couldn't like go higher or lower. You had to be holding onto someone with balloons if you wanted to go higher or lower. So, yeah, you were there again, Joe, and then you came across to me, and then someone said, and then I decided that, excuse me, and then I decided that I didn't like the fact that we were at 35 stories high, because 35 is an odd number, and I like even numbers. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go up to 50 stories high, because 50 is a nice round number. But then the instructor from the activities camp came over and said, the world record for floating is 52 stories high, so if you want to try and go to 50, it's unlikely you'll be able to do it, and it's going to be quite dangerous. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to 50, I still have to go up some though, because 35's an odd number. So I was like, okay, me and Joe are going to go to 40 stories high. So because you had no balloons, you couldn't like go up or down, so I had to like grab onto your arm, and we started to float upwards. But when we got to about 38 stories high, we could just, it was like so dangerous and like scary, and so we decided we couldn't go any higher. And you were worried that because you had no balloons, you were just going to like fall down to earth and die. So I don't know why I'm laughing at that. That's not funny. You don't want you to die. But yeah, so we stopped at about 38 stories high. But then yeah, like I was holding onto your arm, you were holding onto my arm, and then you were like starting to get worried that you were going to die, that you were going to fall to earth and die. So I was like, well, okay, we'll just both go back down to earth together now then. But then out of nowhere, Todd comes over to the both of us and just grabs onto both of our arms, and he didn't have any balloons either. And because only I had balloons and you two both didn't have balloons, I can only carry one person without balloons. So because Todd like held on to both of us, all of a sudden we just started plummeting towards Earth. And so obviously I was like, okay, this is it, we're going to die right now. Me and you thought we were going to die. But as we started to get closer to the ground, Todd said to us, open your legs and just thrust all your weight towards the sky and prepare to land. And even though me and you, Joe, had never done anything like this before, we had no idea how to land properly. We just did what Todd said. We opened our legs and like thrust our body weight towards the sky, and then the next thing I knew, we were just safely standing on the ground. And yeah, that was all I remember from the dream. That's where the dream ended. So yeah, it was a happy ending. None of us died. We all managed to get safely back to Earth. And we had a fun activities day out together. So yeah, that is the dream. Yes, goodbye.